You're listening to the Crew Talk Podcast, a conversation about chasing growth. All right, y'all, welcome back to Crew Talk. I don't know what episode this is, but we got a very special guest. It's probably one of my shadiest friends on the island. Her name is Dee. No, I'm just kidding. It's a real good friend. Her name's Dee. We met in med school. That's where we're at right now, and let her introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Hey y'all, I'm Dee. Like you said, we met in med school. We're both second year students, and I'm just out here. Been on the island since January, living my best life. I'm not his shadiest friend, but I'll digress from that.
All right, so tell us where you're from, a little bit about your backstory.
Well, I was born in Jamaica, but I moved to New York as a kid, and I lived in New York till I came to Grenada. Growing up in Jamaica, I lived on a coffee farm, which was really fun. Not always, but, you know, it's a fun story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I lived in New York, I lived upstate New York in Poughkeepsie. People can't pronounce it right, but it was boring.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the city. I lived in Queens for 8 years before coming here.
So out of the boroughs, you rep Queens. That's that hard.
Do I rep Queens?
Yeah.
Nah, I will always rep Jamaica.
Okay. I feel you. So how was what age were you when you moved to America?
So my mom migrated when I was 11 months, and then she sent us back. So I went between New York and Jamaica until I was 11.
Okay.
And then I permanently stayed in New York.
Which one do you like?
Jamaica.
Really?
I hate New York. I can't stand New York.
I'm sorry to all my New York listeners.
I know they're gonna hate me for saying no. I've lived, like I said, I've lived in upstate New York and I lived in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not. It's just not for me. No.
Wait, it's too many people, too fast.
Not really, because upstate New York isn't fast at all.
Okay.
You know, like it's very slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. There's just something about New York. I'm kind of over it.
I mean, I feel you.
Like, I don't think I could ever get tired of Jamaica. Like, every time I go back, I'm like, yay.
I mean, but it is like a vacation spot, so.
I guess. But I don't know. It's like different. Like, I don't go to the vacation spots.
Okay.
I go back home.
Oh,
like,
okay.
home.
Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
I don't know. I enjoy the tropics, really. I think as long as there's warm weather, I'm happy.
I feel you. That snow, that was probably my least favorite part about being
Yeah.
up north.
I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't. And then the snow, like in New York, it looks dirty.
In the city.
Yeah.
Upstate, it's really pretty.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I will say that. It's pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nice and white and
Yeah.
shiny, and it just makes you, like when you watch those Christmas movies and
That
it's
feeling?
like, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it can give you that feeling. It's really nice, but then you have to go outside in it.
And walk through it.
That's not fun. That's not fun. I've had to, trek a few.
My least favorite experience with snow is like having to put on all that stuff, and then whenever you get where you are, you take it off and you're sweating.
Yeah.
That's
It's like you're hot and cold at the same time.
terrible. That's a terrible combination.
Listen, especially taking the New York City subway and all that. Ooh, don't miss that. That's not a fun life.
Yeah. My ultimate goal is to live somewhere where I can have my car and just drive.
Is your car low?
Yeah. Why?
Not New York City. Them potholes. My poor Civic.
Get beat up.
It does. I take it back and they're like, yeah, everything underneath this is messed up. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, New York comes with a whole bunch of issues.
It does. It's overrated in my opinion. It's too expensive to live. Like, you literally are on top of each other. The only thing is that there's an experience. There's always something you can do.
Yeah, very true.
But other than that, that's not enough for me to want to be there forever.
So do you plan on, for the rotations, what do you plan on?
I really want to go to Cali.
Ooh, I feel you. That's
When I say that to people, they're like, "Why Cali?" I'm like, so I went to Cali right before the pandemic started last year in February of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with the place. I was just like, this is my speed. Like, I enjoy here.
Yes.
And they're like, it's not the same as New York. It's completely
Who said that?
I don't know. A lot of people, like, they literally look at me and they're like, oh no.
That's cap. That's cap to the max power.
I swear to God.
Oh man. What part of Cali?
I really like SoCal. I've never been to NoCal. But I'd like to be there.
I've been to LA and I've been to Oakland. I don't know if they consider Oakland NorCal. They call it the Bay Area.
Yeah, the Bay Area. I feel like they just call it the Bay Area.
So NorCal would be what, like Sacramento.
Sacramento. Yeah.
The Bay Area is.
I've never been. My mom went twice without me, and she like raved about it. And me and my mom have very similar tastes in like where we want to live. So I trust her judgment.
I guess I resonated with it. I was with friends who lived there, but it also had like a very similar culture to New Orleans. So, but having that with beaches and like all that stuff was way better.
Another place I've never been to.
You gotta go.
I will.
I'm not gonna shit on it, but it's not like you wouldn't want to live there. It's a place that you just want to visit, like Mardi Gras and stuff like that. Yeah. I
definitely wanted to visit there. Not sure what happened because I used to travel a lot between like 17 to 20, but it just ended up not making it there for whatever plans fell through. That's why you don't plan things with people.
What places have you been to?
So I've been to a lot of islands in the Caribbean. Mine is Jamaica because obviously I grew up there, but I've been to St. Lucia, Barbados, obviously Grenada, St. Vincent. I'm missing places. Dominican Republic and St. Kitts. I don't know if I said that. The British Virgin Islands, Tortola, Belize, Mexico, England, France, and then U.S., Canada.
What other places you've been? Which one would you rank as your top two? Not including Jamaica, not the U.S.
Top two. Tortola.
Okay.
I really love that island. I went there when I was 13, and I don't know why, like, it left an impact on me.
Really?
Like, as soon as I stepped foot on that island, I was like, I like it here.
Oh.
It's a small island, but the people were welcoming. Like, my aunt, so when I went on this cruise, my aunt, she likes to, like, do her own thing. She doesn't like to go through, like, the cruise ship to do, like, their tours and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, she just, like, walked off the boat and basically was like, I'm going to make friends, and made friends. And they took us all to, like, the different local spots. And I absolutely fell in love with the culture there. So that's definitely number one. And number two would be Belize.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Belize. I've been to Belize, I think, 3 times now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They're regular there.
Yeah.
They know you.
No, they're really nice. Like, when I went to the Belize the first time, we did the, like, Mayan tour.
Okay.
So we went and, like, looked at the different, like, ruins that were there. The second time, I think I did, what was it? Like, this hotel water thing. And that was really fun. And then the third time, we just went around the country.
Isn't the Blue Hole, isn't that in Belize?
There's a lot of blue holes, but yeah, there is one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a sick video of these guys, they went skydiving into the Blue Hole.
What?
Yeah, that shit looks sick. I'd be too scared.
Really? You shouldn't, though. It sounds fun. I'm not gonna lie, blue holes, wherever they are usually really fun to jump into. Like, there's a blue hole in Jamaica, and it's my favorite spot to go to in Jamaica.
What exactly is it?
It's just that it's natural, like, it's a natural deep water that looks really blue.
Okay.
That's it.
So it's like...
But they usually don't know how deep it is.
Oh, shit.
So it's, like, deep to the point where they don't know how deep it is.
That's scary.
And it's, like, blue, and it's so pretty, and it's so fun to jump. Like, you jump off of, like, I think I jumped off of, like, a 40-foot cliff into there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the one that I saw the video, like, the Blue Hole was, like, there was no land around.
Yeah. It's just
in the middle
a hole of water.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
I feel like you only live once.
Very true. Very true. So, med school. What led you here?
Ooh. Okay.
It's a very charged question.
It is, because so many things led me here. But I guess I'll start with, like, as a kid. I think everybody a lot of people usually have that part of the story, right?
Right.
So for me, I used to love reading Nancy Drew as a kid.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know what Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys is.
I know. I've heard of Nancy Drew.
Yeah. So, like, it's basically like these stories where this little girl basically investigates things. And I used to love those books. And I always wanted to be a detective because I love those books. But obviously, I don't know, like, in my head, I was like, I can be a detective and I can be a doctor. And I want to be a detective doctor. I didn't know what that was, but I wanted to be a detective doctor. And then when I moved back to the States at 11. I was in 7th grade, and they basically, like, the school I was in, they basically had, like, this career day thing where you got to choose, like, you ranked your 3 careers you want to do, and you got to shadow someone for a day.
Oh, wow.
And so I went home, and I was like, I don't know what I want to be, Mom. And she's like, you can do anything. And I was like, I really want to be a detective doctor, but I don't know what that is. And she was like, well, you know how to use the internet. Go look it up.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know what to look up. Anyway, at that time in my life, we loved watching NCIS together.
Okay.
And so we were sitting down watching NCIS. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So we were sitting down watching NCIS, and I had the epiphany. I want to be Ducky. I didn't know what Ducky was.
Which one was Ducky?
Ducky's the doctor.
See, I didn't watch NCIS.
Okay, so he's the doctor. He's the forensic pathologist.
Okay.
That actually, like, you know, did the autopsies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, Mom, Ducky does what I want to do. He's a detective doctor.
Uh-huh.
What's the name of that? I don't know. So I went to Yahoo, was the search engine at the time.
Yeah.
I went to Yahoo and I was like, what is Ducky? And after, like, a little bit of research, realized, okay, that's a forensic pathologist.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I pretty much, like, geared my education towards that. So my undergrad degree was forensic science, and I took the MCATs in 2016. Literally the same year that they changed it from the old scoring to the new scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And
what year did you graduate?
2016.
Oh, shit. I'm young.
Joe, I'm young.
I graduated in 2018.
Doesn't mean I'm not young. How old do you think I am?
So you would be 27, 28.
No.
How old?
I'm 25.
How did you graduate so early?
That's a whole nother story.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that one.
So basically, I took my MCATs end of 2016 after doing my internship with forensic pathologists for an entire summer, and loved it. Fell in love with the field. Was like, yes, this is what I want to do. My mentor actually happened to go to Ross, and she was like, go to SGU, and I had already been looking to SGU from 2015. So I already knew I wanted out of the United States. Anyway, I took the MCATs. I applied to U.S. schools, got in, but then I was like, damn, money. Because I paid for myself through undergrad, so I was like, how am I going to pay for all of this right now? Yeah. I didn't think it was my mom's a financial advisor, so I was like, I don't think it's the right financial decision for me to do this right now. So I was like, well, I have about 4 years with my MCAT score. We'll see where life takes me. So 2017, I decided to apply to jobs, and I ended up starting my career in forensic drug chemistry at the NYPD. And so while working there, absolutely loved it. Ended up becoming union president for about a year.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of things.
Big time.
I did a lot of things, and then, like, 2019, I felt like there was more that I needed to do in my life. Well, not, like, more that I need to do in my life, but I wasn't satisfied staying there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I had been talking about med school, like, I still want to go back and do this, and there were a lot of people in my job who had started there because it's an entry-level position, saying, I'm going to go back to med school, and never leaving. Been there 15, 20, 30 years, and I'm like, I don't want that to be me.
Right.
And so I remember talking to my supervisor / roommate, and she was like,
what a relationship.
I know, right? It was a good one though. And she was like, I'm tired of hearing you talk about this. You've gotten your letter of recommendations. I literally had done everything. And she was like, submit the application tonight, or else I'm coming to fight you tomorrow. And so that night, right? So that night I went home, and I was like, you know what? I really want to go to SGU. And I don't really want to go to the U.S. schools. So while I filled out everything in AMCS, I was like, I'm just going to submit my application to SGU. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll apply to U.S. schools.
Right.
Really backwards to how things normally work for people, right?
True.
And a week later, I had an interview. And a week after that, I got accepted. And so here I am. And I didn't think, like, I never thought that I would really be here as much as I talked about it.
Right.
I didn't expect myself to end up here. But I'm happy I did.
Yeah.
Because as much stress as school causes me, I don't know. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I feel you. It's always, when I was playing football, one of my coaches, he had this, he may have stole it from somebody, now that I think about it, but it was close, like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Because when you finally get to the destination, all you're gonna think about is how did I get here.
Facts.
So I definitely there's beauty in the struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So forensic pathologist. That's still the goal.
No.
Well, let's transition to that.
No. So my mentor, who is a forensic pathologist, from the day she met me, which is how I got the monomer D.
Okay.
It's because of her.
Yeah.
Because she would always get my name wrong. So my name is Danique, and a lot of people say Dominique, which I hate.
Imagine.
After about a day of her saying Dominique, I said, you know what? Just call me D. And she was like, D, I can work with that. And after that, from 2016 on, everybody calls me D. So that's how I got D. But
the origins of D.
Yeah. So she really, she didn't think that I should go into forensic pathology. While doing autopsies with them and going through and learning and stuff, I really became interested in the brain.
Okay.
And they're both neuroforensic pathologists. So they both would highlight a lot about the brain. And she always thought that I could go into neuro and felt like I should go into neuro and would literally tell me, please don't go into pathology. There's so much more out there that you can give to the world. And I was like, sure.
I'm getting excited. You mentioning neuro, so just keep
really?
going. Yeah.
So I was still, I had it in the back burner, but I'm like, no, I definitely want to be a forensic pathologist. I really like forensic pathology. But then term 2 came, and the neuro block hit, and everybody was struggling. And I'm like, wow, I really like this.
Yes.
I really, really like this. And then we did neuro, NB3, and that was like focused on, like the psychiatric part of it and just like learning all the different things about kids. And I was like, I've always loved children. I've been babysitting for as long as I can remember. And so that led me to start, I love researching, so led me to start researching pediatric neurology and what does that job entail and how could I be beneficial in that area. So right now, my top pick would be pediatric neurology. Yeah.
I feel like every time I talk to someone, they mention a specialty that's very specific that I've never heard of. So, like, I mean, it makes sense, pediatric neurology, but I was like, never thought that was like a path specifically too.
It is. There's so many random specifics out there. Like, it goes even deeper than pediatric neurology,
I can imagine.
That's like the overview of it. Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed neuro too. I don't want to be, I guess neurology would be considered internal medicine, right?
It can be, yeah.
Okay. I want to do surgery. So neurosurgeon is the one I'm looking to do.
That scares me.
Really?
Yeah. I considered it for maybe 0.5 seconds.
Nah, give it some more thought.
I don't know. I feel like as a woman going into medicine, it's a lot harder to think about certain specialties, especially surgery, because there's so much more of a demand. Like, if I ever want to have kids, people are going to look down on me in a certain way.
Yeah.
Or, and then, like, if you have children, then they're going to be like, oh, how do I spend time with my kids when surgery is a demanding job? Like, medicine in itself is a demanding job, but surgery is very demanding.
Yeah.
And so I've always known that if I do have children, I want to be very present in their life the way my mother was. So I don't want to choose something that will force me to choose between the two when I love both.
Yeah.
So
that's deep. I mean, when we talked about doing the podcast, like different topics we wanted to talk about, and the topic I thought it was like, how do you manage life now, setting up for the goals that you want?
It's been hard.
Yeah.
It's been, because, again, as a woman, like, I think especially in this day and age, you battle with two things in life, right? Wanting to have a successful career and, doing things for yourself, but also wanting to have a family.
Yeah.
And that might not be true for every single woman, but it is true for a lot of us. And for me, I know it's true for me. And I'm like, I want to be this great independent woman, but I also want to have a family.
Yeah.
How do I balance that when I'm choosing a career that I know
it's very demanding?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not an easy feat at all.
Yeah.
I tried to balance it, but
it's like the unsaid.
Med school won.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, med school, it might be undefeated right now.
Listen,
until we get our cap and gown, it's undefeated.
Nothing can top this right now. Nothing can top this right now. I
Yeah.
promise you. It's literally such it's an everyday struggle. Like I literally hear people like, "Oh, I'm gonna find my husband," and I'm just like,
I'm trying to find the next study notes. I need to figure out what page I'm on.
listen. It's like I see, especially for us, like we see our friends having kids, getting married,
Mhm.
like buying houses, traveling, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out
It's like
on
we went
so
the
much.
opposite way.
Literally, backwards. Like I was telling someone, like even if I was thinking about having kids, that's 10 years down the line, if that.
Yeah.
So
You gotta meet someone too, and it's like everyone here. It's like there's really no time to socialize. We make time, but
I mean, we have to, but even then, it's kind of just like let's just socialize for these 5 hours
and then get back to
and
work.
then get back to the books.
Yeah.
Like, what time do you have to sit down and really get to know someone, have a conversation with them? You don't, because you don't want to take away from someone else's studying, and you don't want to take away from your own studying.
Exactly. I'm definitely grateful that I came into med school with a relationship. If I came in looking for one, I'd be disappointed. I'd be very disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It sucks for me. I came in with one, don't have one anymore. That's even worse if you ask me. At least if you come in, I feel like if you come into med school and you don't have a relationship, then you're like, okay, I came into med school, I don't have a relationship.
Mhm.
And if you come into med school and you do have a relationship, it's like, great, I have a relationship. When you come into med school and you have a relationship and then you don't have one anymore, you go from having that person by your side
Yeah.
to not having that person by your side.
Very true.
Rough.
I mean, but there's also the bright side that your time has been freed up a little bit, if you want to look at it like that.
True. But time leaves your brain to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But then you just fill it with studying. So, are we learning bad avoidment styles? Probably.
Yeah.
It's okay though. That's cool. Med school leads you to do the things that you're learning not to do, which is
Isn't that sick?
so sick.
When we were doing what's the hip whip, the sessions, I was like, why are you telling me that and I can't do that?
I can't do that. It's, you're we don't want you to stress out. Okay, stop stressing me out then.
Yeah.
You know that you're the source of my stress.
What killed me is when they were like, we have these help sessions like yoga, we have like anxiety relief, and it's at such and such time. We have class at that time. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. It's lovely. The resources are there, but never at a time that you can use it. Yeah. It's life.
Yeah. One of the best analogies someone told me is that med school is like drinking from a fire hydrant. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so accurate.
No, it really is.
Because I'm missing so much,
Yeah.
and I need all of it.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And you somehow have to balance it. Like someone last night said to me, "Oh, you're in term 4. You just have one more, term, and then you're in clinicals or whatever." And she was like, "I wish I was in your shoes." And it was someone that had decided to redo a term.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "No, baby. I'm over here faking it till I make it. I don't know what the next step is going to be. I'm just hoping I don't miss." Exactly. It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we're all in a constant state of we don't know what we're doing. We're just hoping we're doing it right.
Exactly. And then you're asking people for help, and they don't know what they're doing.
Nah.
Yeah.
We're all just over here trying to figure it out.
The best situations that you ask someone who took the step that you wanted to take and messed up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just asking someone who got lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is one of the reasons why I highlight my failures or stumbles
Yeah.
so much. Because I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of people who go through med school or are in med school don't like to highlight.
No.
They don't want to talk about, damn, I got a 57 on the exam.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to talk about, yeah, I totally could have failed term 1, but I did it, and here's how I did it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, I feel like it's more important to see someone stumble than to see someone continually succeed.
Exactly. First off, it's more realistic, and it actually provides value to someone else.
Exactly.
Because if you see someone who's just acing stuff, it's like, well, I could use their strategy, but everyone's strategy doesn't work.
Exactly.
So, but like knowing like, okay, this person failed this or didn't do this, what are the next steps? Because like everyone can reach that point, everyone can't reach acing something.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. And then you have people who just put on facades and stuff like that
The
for whatever,
facade.
for whatever reason.
Which is why it's so hard to balance sometimes, because the true meaning of me is being myself.
Yeah.
I grew up watching my mother be herself, unapologetically being herself, right? She never was like, I'm going to dim this so that people don't think that. Like, my mother has always been herself.
Yeah.
And so I grew to always be myself. And having that authentic energy, ooh, people are like, there's not that many people around here. I need this. And so it's just like constant gravity pulling towards you. And I'm like, how do I turn this off just a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like it's also like, we talking about all the schoolwork and shit that we have. It's a job to pretend to be somebody else. So I actually feel bad for those people.
No, it really is.
But hey,
behind closed door, you never know.
Yeah, very, very true. Maybe they could use the stress relief. They can skip class for that shit.
They can go do some yoga. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be shady. Let me stop.
I mean, it's real though.
Nah.
So, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is thinking about doing med school?
I would say make sure it's what you want. Live your life. Don't pay attention to what the society says. Make sure it's what you want. Make sure you've exhausted. If you were interested in something else, you're like, oh, it's between these two things. Check out both.
Right.
Don't just jump. Like, med school is a commitment when it comes to money, when it comes to time, when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like it should be more widely accepted that people take a year off.
Yeah.
Explore, travel, do things you like before you start. Like, make sure it's what you want.
Yeah.
Because if I had come here straight out of college, I probably would have dropped out. Because I wouldn't have been sure it's what I wanted, especially with all this stress.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been sure it's what I wanted. I'm grateful that from 2017 to 2020, I lived life.
Yeah.
I traveled, I went out, I met people, I made the best friends I could make. And I know, like, being here, that's why I continue to go through this stress.
Because you know it's on the other side.
Exactly.
I feel you on that. What should I say? I guess it's hard to get advice from med students about like how to navigate. Because like before I started med school, I didn't know any med students. I feel like for the 4 years of med school, those people just disappear. And there has to be like a way to. I guess this is a perfect way, like us talking, putting it out there, but like giving med school students like a voice, like voice their concerns, advice to other people, because like I definitely think it's helpful.
Absolutely, especially being in a Caribbean school.
Yeah.
Because there's so many negative connotations out there, and like I said, my story is completely opposite from what people normally hear. Right? People normally hear you applied to the U.S. schools, you couldn't get into U.S. schools. You, after years and years and years of trying, you go to a Caribbean school.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have those different stories, because not everybody's story is the same.
Yeah.
And there's so many success stories when it comes from coming from a Caribbean school. Like I said, my mentor comes from a Caribbean school.
Right.
And that wasn't like I intentionally
found her.
Like, yeah, I wasn't like going like I need to find someone. I met her, we hit it off, and then I just happened to find out she came from a Caribbean school. So I don't know. I feel like I didn't know anything about international students. I didn't know anything about med students. I literally, before coming, I didn't even know people who had doctors as parents. Like, just to show you how far removed I am from knowing anything really about med school other than me wanting to go there.
Right.
I didn't know anything. So I'm like here, and then I have like all my little cousins that been saying they want to be doctors for a while too. And I'm like, at least I'm going through it, then
you can help them.
Exactly.
It makes sense. It's all about the first person opening the door.
Which unfortunately has been me far too many times. I just want someone to open a door for me.
I feel you. I'm not gonna lie.
It sucks being one of the older cousins. I'm not gonna lie. And the oldest daughter. So at the end of the day, like, always figuring it out. And being not even first generation, but like I was a child when I migrated to the States.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a full ass adult.
Yeah.
So she didn't know anything about the education system in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through that, figuring it out on my own, so that my brother could figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
You're gonna have a fire story when it's all said and done. It's gonna be a fire story.
I'm writing. Don't worry, the book is coming.
I feel you.
2040.
That's 19 years from now.
We're gonna live to see it, God's willing.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, in that gap period, you mentioned traveling. What is it about traveling that attracted you?
I love learning.
Mm-hmm.
I literally love learning about new cultures. And one of the greatest things I think about having an education in two different countries was that it allowed me that from a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved reading, so I always had books. And my mom would always encourage me to read more. And so I learned a lot. Like in Jamaica, we had this subject that we had to learn called religious education.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they take religion out of the education system in America, but religious education in Jamaica is learning about all religions.
Okay.
So we're taught about Islam, we're taught about Judaism, we're taught about Christianity, we're talking about Hinduism, like Sikhism, like literally all of them, right? And learning all those different things made me like, wow, like the more you learn, the less ignorant you will be.
True.
Right? And the more open you are to learning, the closer people become. Right? Because just knowing one little fact about somebody's culture can open a door to so much more.
Yeah.
And so I love learning. And as a family growing up, we used to travel a lot, like not just between Jamaica, but just like within the States. Like we used to go to Canada a lot, and we used to like go to different areas of the States, which is why I know like so much about different cultures within the States alone.
Right.
And so once I had the opportunity to go to different places, like as you can tell, I told you almost every trip I went to some form of like ancient place or some place that carried history within the culture from way back, because I like learning about their culture and like understanding their culture, so that it gives me more of insight, because I'm going to interact with many different people, and by understanding their culture just a little bit makes life just a little bit easier.
I feel you. That resonates with me a lot, because a lot of the vlogs that I do are like travel based and like interacting with different cultures. So
Yeah.
like I told you, I have a lot of videos I haven't edited, and I think those are probably the best ones. And I want to give like a good amount of time to make sure I tell the right story with
Right.
those. Because like you said, like the experience, the culture, it connects us. Because like the people really aren't that different. You
They're
know,
not.
They just do different things
Yeah.
here and there, but it's all just different versions of the same thing.
Yep. I mean, if you look at the internet, right? Like the internet allows us to see how similarly we were raised.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you can take someone who was raised in an African household, someone who was raised in a Jamaican household, someone who was raised down south, someone who was raised in the east, someone who's raised in the west, and I promise you we'll find at least one thing all of our parents did the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, did they converse?
Right.
But it's 6 different cultures I just mentioned. But somehow we
was some
still did
similarities.
something similar.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we mentioned the street lights to anybody in our age group, we know what that meant. It mean bring your ass inside. It didn't matter where you were in the world. That meant bring yourself inside. It's time to go.
Yep.
Right? If you have a black mom, she just looked to the right. You know what that means.
Right.
Settle yourself down. That's enough. The next one is going to be a slap, okay?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's little things like that. And people don't realize, again, like, I feel like we hear this phrase a lot, we're more similar than we are different. But people don't realize how deep that really runs until you start to experience the world and start to experience the different things and different cultures that are out there.
Very true. What, out of the cultures and places you've been, besides, what was the island?
Tortola?
Besides that one, what culture stood out to you the most?
Which culture stood out to me? France.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
It's so, I wouldn't say different, but I feel like it just resonated a lot with me.
Okay.
Because, like, growing up in Jamaica, we had to learn Spanish. And then, like, when you get to grade 7 is where you would switch between, like, if you want to continue Spanish or French. But I just happened to move to the States. So when I moved to the States, I chose French. And so I was already very intrigued by the culture. And going there...
It confirmed everything.
Yeah.
I feel you.
It was like, wow. Like, this is everything that I've learned about and more. And French people, I feel like they can get a bad rap. Like, they can get, like, people like, oh, they're mean.
Yeah, they definitely have that stereotype.
Yeah, but they're not.
Right.
There's, especially, again, if you are willing to take a step to learn their culture.
Yeah.
And so, while I didn't speak French fluently, just knowing that I could say, bonjour, comment ça va? Like, little things like that. It's like, wow, she's actually willing to just go a little bit. Because most of them can speak English, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that you show that you're willing to just take a little step into their culture.
I definitely agree with, like, all the places I've been, I've tried to learn at least a few words or, like, at least know, like, traditional customs, like, in Japan. Like, you bow, you don't shake hands, things like that.
Right.
And people are just more willing to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a respect thing.
OMG, I completely forgot to mention Ghana. How could I forget? I've been to Ghana now. Completely forgot. But that, France, Ghana.
Those two?
Those two.
I got you.
Yeah. Going back to Ghana was a mind trip.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, so one of the things is, once you mention you're Jamaican, everybody loves you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. They're like, welcome home. Because, again, history. I love learning. So one of the, obviously Ghana had one of, like, the biggest ports that slaves went through. And a lot of Jamaicans, where their ancestry can be traced back to either Nigeria or Ghana.
Okay.
So we can actually go to Ghana for free. Like, we can move back there with no visa or anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it's the same for, I think they've done that now for Black Americans.
Okay.
So you can go back there. Like, you can move back there with literally, like, no rhyme or reason other than you're black and you want to go back home. But it was really a trip, just, like, being around, like, being in a country where everybody looks like you. And they're just welcoming and, like, again, learning their culture, having their jollof rice, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I need to find a country where they look like me.
Listen.
That would be difficult.
I don't think so.
I went to Morocco, and people thought I was Moroccan.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm nowhere near
but,
that.
I mean, I feel like Northern Africa. Anywhere in Northern Africa, people would look a lot more like you, because that's where you get the mix between Southern or Western Africa and then the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's like that bridge.
I guess you're right. My sister did a DNA test. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I'll let you guess. So she did it with a brother and sister, so I didn't do it. So
why?
Because whatever she got, it was going to be the same thing for me.
Maybe.
How will we have different...
You never know.
Okay.
I'm just going to say DNA plays.
Hey, when I said she's the messy friend. So take a wild guess.
Well, you're from Louisiana. So my first thing is that you have some form of French. Right? No? Wow. Algerian?
Yeah, that sounds familiar, but I don't...
It's in Northern Africa too.
that wasn't the major. So it was 66% and then 33% something else. 60.
I don't know. I have no idea what that could be.
It was Nigerian and Irish.
Huh.
When I say it, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Right?
Yeah. I'm looking at your face right now. It makes sense. Yeah. Wow.
It's crazy.
Huh.
Yeah. My mom was surprised. She was like, where did this shit come from?
I'm not surprised, though. Like, knowing genetics and understanding how it works, it makes sense. Like, I can look at you and be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, little fun fact about me.
My dad's great, I think, yeah, way back. My last name's Berry. So there's only 2 brothers that migrated to Jamaica and then spread their... spread their seed, dear God. And they were from Scotland.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So one of like the, what do you call it, the fractions of the pie chart said like UK Scotland based.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
might
think
be cousins.
listen. Hey cousin. No, I've actually wanted to do one because both sides of my family, again, Jamaican, they're very mixed up, okay?
Yeah.
You want to talk about me being messy, just in general, they just have a very messy family tree. So I'm like curious because my great grandmother was white.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always curious to be like, where is she from? Because no one can ever answer that question for me. They're just like, I don't know. She was white and in Jamaica, but where did she come from?
Right.
Because obviously white people had to move to Jamaica.
Right, they didn't pop up.
Right. So I'm curious. I don't know. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm always very curious. And then like when they talk about it in Ghana, I'm like, am I Ghanaian? Do I have that blood running through me? Because listen.
Could be.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't know. History is very, like, looking cultures, they're so interesting. I love learning about them.
Me too. So to wrap it up, this is a new segment I'm going to start. I want to ask the person what is something on their bucket list that they want to check off in the next 5 years.
Sheesh. Okay. What's on my bucket list? Do I even have a bucket list?
You got to.
Okay.
Maybe for med students, I might say 10 years, but what's something on your list that you want to check off?
Something that's on my bucket list. I want to go skydiving.
I'm not like, you've said a lot of shit that I want to do. I had that on my list to do this summer. It didn't work out, but
it was on my list too. It didn't work out.
it's so sad.
No, but it was definitely, so I was supposed to do it last October.
Mm-hmm.
When we had the same weekend that we just had this past weekend.
Oh yeah, the 3-day weekend.
Yeah. So when we had our 3-day weekend last October, I was supposed to do it, and then plans fell through.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I would totally want to do.
Yeah, I definitely. When I do it, I'm gonna have a video so I don't forget anything about it.
My friend did it, and her video, she did it for her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Her video looks amazing. Like, she was having a blast up there. It's like, I want to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally something on the list.
Hopefully I can check that off this summer.
Well, you'll finally have a break between step 1 and clinicals. A real break.
A real break. That shit don't exist. All right, but I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you for
really
having me.
All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all in the next one.